biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
This is Rachel Power and WION World is One. Thank you for joining us. I'm Eric Njoka. Tensions escalate as the US strengthens its military posture near Venezuela, while Presidents Trump and Maduro confirm a recent phone call amid rising political, military and economic confrontation. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday asked President Isaac Herzog to pardon him for bribery and fraud charges to end his 5-year corruption trial. What does Netanyahu want to be pardoned for, and is it possible? Welcome to the show. Tensions are rising in the Caribbean. US President Donald Trump is closing in on Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. Trump has warned that Venezuela's airspace is now closed, leaving the question of a full-blown offensive open. American troops are now deployed across the Caribbean as part of Operation Southern Spear. But Trump also confirmed that he recently spoke with Maduro. When asked whether his move to close Venezuela's airspace meant a direct offensive on Venezuela, Trump told reporters not to read anything into it.
Does your warning mean that an airstrike is imminent, or should we not read it that way?
Don't read anything into it.
The New York Times reported that you had a phone call with Maduro. Did you?
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
And can you tell us a little bit
No,
about
I can't
it?
do that.
Mr.
Would you
President,
say it went well?
I wouldn't say it went well or badly. It was a phone call. Yeah.
As the world tries to predict Trump's next move, every action and reaction is under close watch, including those of pizza joints near the Pentagon. An ex-handle, which keeps tabs on pizza shops near the U.S. Department of War, has reported a surge in traffic at one of the outlets, prompting buzz about possible U.S. action against Venezuela. The handle posted that while most pizzerias near the Pentagon are reporting below-average traffic, orders at the closest Domino's to the Pentagon have surged. The Pentagon Pizza Theory says that a spike in fast food orders near U.S. government buildings is directly proportional to an impending international crisis. The buildings in focus are the Pentagon, the CIA, and the White House. Whether it's bombing Iran or a full-blown war in Iraq, reports claim that in the run-up to any big military action, fast food orders from the U.S. government buildings spikes. Since September, the U.S. has so far carried out at least 21 strikes on alleged drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean and off the Pacific coast of Latin America. These have resulted in 83 reported fatalities, but one particular strike is now under the scanner of a war crime allegations. The Washington Post reported that a U.S. strike on a boat on the 2nd of September left 2 survivors. However, a second attack was carried out to comply with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's order to kill everybody on board. Hegseth has decried the reporter's fake news and received the backing of President Trump. In Venezuela, the National Assembly says it will form a special commission to investigate the deadly strikes. The investigation will also look into the Washington Post report. Caracas has also lodged a complaint to OPEC, calling on the oil-producing bloc to help Venezuela in protecting its oil reserves. In a letter to OPEC, Venezuela has accused the U.S. of plotting to seize the country's oil reserves.
Secretary General, OPEC countries, non-OPEC countries, OPEC Plus. Venezuela formally denounces before this body that the government of the United States of America intends to take control of Venezuela's vast oil reserves, the largest on the planet, through the use of lethal military force against the territory, the people, and the institutions of the country.
Letal contra el territorio, el pueblo.
Mr. Diego Sequeira is a political analyst, journalist, and columnist. He is now joining us live from Caracas, Venezuela. Mr. Sequeira, thank you very much for your time, and it's good to see you again. What do you think is driving Donald Trump's actions against Venezuela?
I think there are several layers to this. There are some that are pretty obvious, like, for example, the oil reserves and the geopolitical picture. But it also goes further and goes beyond Trump. This is also, as I've been said several times, and I have to keep saying it, this is also a Marco Rubio plan, especially the way it's been unfolding, including the ramping up of the military assets, and also I might add the, let's call it, the psychological atmosphere that's been created in order to, at some point, deliver regime change. This is all about regime change. A regime change war for a regional change.
Mr. Sequeira, there's some sort of defiance from the leaders in the Caribbean because there are some countries which have come to the defense of Venezuela. And I think these countries are Chile, and we have another country that is backing Venezuela. Do you actually think that this backing from the Caribbean nations or those leaders will do something to change Trump's mind?
I think it's meaningful, and I think it's important, and also shows something that has been going on ever since the whole buildup starting in September, which is Marco Rubio has tried to create several times some sort of coalition of the willing, some sort of Lima Group 2.0. I don't know if you remember the Lima Group. Venezuela is out of OAS, so they created an ad hoc group back in Trump 1 in order to undermine Venezuela's place in the region. This shows that there's not a consensus and there's not enough support for this kind of endeavors that we're seeing. And I think it means it is meaningful. Maybe it's not, from my point of view, it's not vocal enough, but it's meaningful enough to show that they don't have all the cards with them at this moment.
Mr. Sequeira, it's good to see you. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you, as usual.
So let's move on now to another report here. President Donald Trump said on Sunday that he has chosen the person he wants to lead the Federal Reserve going forward. Trump also made it clear that he expects his candidate to lower interest rates. Trump, without naming his choice for the next Fed chief, said, and I quote, "I know who I'm going to pick. We'll be announcing it soon." Trump made it clear that he wants a new chair of the Fed who will aggressively pursue rate cuts. He has repeatedly criticized the current chair, Jerome Powell, for not acting fast on rate cuts. With Powell's term ending in May, speculation has intensified over who will be the next lead to the Fed. The top finalists include White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett, Fed governors Christopher Waller and Michelle Baumann, former Fed governor Kevin Walsh, and BlackRock's Rick Ryder. While media reports quoting sources showed Hassett had got the nod, he quashed them as rumors ahead of Trump's comment. Hassett said the markets were optimistic about the Fed leadership change. That was a subtle nod to concerns that investors will see him as too close to the president. He also said he would be happy to serve if chosen by Trump to head the central bank. Hassett said on CBS, and I quote, "We had a great treasury auction, interest rates went down, and I think that the American people could expect President Trump to pick somebody who's going to help them have cheaper car loans and easy access to mortgages at a lower rate." That's what we saw in the market response to the rumor about me. Our correspondent Susan Teherani is now joining us live from New York. Susan, who is the best bet, Hassett, and what are Americans saying about him?
Yeah, it's very interesting. The markets loved the fact that President Trump confirmed that Jerome Powell is out, not because they have anything against Jerome Powell, but because it's clear that midterm now there is going to be a new Fed chair. If it's Hassett, And many believe that it probably will be. Well, he has a great track record of favoring lower interest rates in general. He's also in lockstep with President Trump's policies. Now, there is that concern among analysts and the American public as well that the Fed has a perceived independence to it. And so when this person is such a big Trump loyalist and is so in lockstep with the Trump administration's monetary policies, that brings into question the Fed's independence in the long run. In the short term, the markets, well, they've already reacted. They will probably react further once a name is out, and it will be very good. But in the long term, I think that's where the challenges lie, and that's where the main concern is for the Americans. But nonetheless, it appears that President Trump's made his decision. He's going to announce it very, very shortly.
All right, Susan, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you. Let's move on now. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is seeking a pardon. His formal request is pending for approval from President Isaac Herzog. Before Herzog can take a final call, the move has already triggered a political storm in Israel. People are out on the streets demanding that Herzog must refuse the pardon request. Israeli opposition parties are also mounting the pressure. Opposition leader Yair Lapid called on Netanyahu to admit his guilt, voice remorse, and retire from politics. Naftali Bennett voiced support for pardoning Netanyahu if it's conditioned on him leaving politics. Netanyahu appeared before the court amid protests. As his motorcade moved through the streets of Tel Aviv, he was received by scores of protesters holding placards and raising slogans against the Israeli Prime Minister.
Yesterday, Benjamin Netanyahu, the so-called Prime Minister of Israel, requested to be exonerated from all his files. And we're here to say there's no such thing as being exonerated from files, from being a criminal. And he is a criminal, and he should be standing on trial just like every other citizen in Israel.
Netanyahu is Israel's first prime minister to stand in a criminal trial. He is facing a series of corruption charges, including fraud, bribery, and breach of trust. In 3 separate cases, Netanyahu denies all the allegations against him. The ball is now on President Herzog's court. Netanyahu argues that the trial is making it difficult to perform his duties and stoking divisions among Israelis. Netanyahu's close ally, U.S. President Donald Trump, has also repeatedly demanded his pardon. Herzog says he will consider Israel's best interests when deciding on Netanyahu's pardon. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has come out in support of Finance Minister Rachel Reeves and outlined his welfare reform plan to achieve fiscal balance. Starmer is facing the tough challenge of explaining tax hikes and impending welfare reforms to British voters. Reeves presented a high-stakes budget last week, along with the increase of minimum wage by 4.1%. She announced the freezing of income tax and national insurance thresholds. According to the Office for Budget Responsibility, the freeze in tax thresholds will cause 780,000 Britons to pay income tax for the first time. In his speech, Starmer called the budget a moment of pride as it scrapped the 2-child benefit cap. This was a rule enacted by the Conservative Party government in 2015. Starmer called it the worst legacy of the Tories.
In the end, it's all about potential. And that's why the budget was a moment of personal pride for me. I do not want to see a country where children grow up in poverty. I don't think anybody in this country wants that.
Starmer also vowed to bring a productivity revolution. There are 3 main components of Starmer's plan. First, reform in the industrial policy to make way for nuclear energy. Second, reform in the welfare state that he argues has trapped people in poverty. And third, training unemployed people for jobs. Slow economic growth is another challenge for the embattled stammer. Forecasts have downgraded the UK's economic growth prospects over the next few years. For 2026, the growth rate forecast has been decreased from 1.9% to 1.4%. The latest growth forecast till 2030 has been downgraded to 1.5%. Responding to a question on the poor growth forecast, Starmer said that the UK is back on track and is confident about beating the forecasts.
We're confident we can beat the forecasts. We've already beaten them this year. We are in control of our future. We've already struck trade deals that are attracting billions of pounds of investment. We're removing barriers to business right across the economy.
Time is ticking for the British Prime Minister. The balancing act between poll promises and financial realities have put him in a tight spot. And Starmer must also tackle rise of the right wing while keeping the Labour Party voter base happy. The winter session of the Indian Parliament began on a heated note. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged a no-drama session, but the opposition charged at the ruling party, demanding debates on the ongoing special intensive revision of electoral rolls and other issues.
ये प्रश्नकाल है। मैं पुनः आग्रह कर रहा हूं, जनता ने आपको नारेबाजी करने के लिए नहीं भेजा है।
As the proceedings began, opposition lawmakers raised slogans against the ruling party. They raised the issue of the SIR, which is an exercise carried out by India's Election Commission. In his media address before the session convened, Prime Minister Modi urged the opposition to focus on delivery and not drama.
विपक्ष भी अपना दायित्व निभाएं, चर्चा में ऐसे मुद्दे उठाएं, मजबूत मुद्दे उठाएं, पराजय के निराशा में से बाहर निकल करके आएं। और इसलिए मेरा आग्रह रहेगा कि हम इन चीजों को गंभीरता से लें। ड्रामा करने के लिए जगह बहुत होती है, जिसको करना है करते रहें। यहाँ ड्रामा नहीं, डिलीवरी होनी चाहिए।
The Prime Minister also congratulated India's new Vice President, CP Radhakrishnan, who presided over the Rajya Sabha for the first time after taking office. The leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, lashed out at the Prime Minister drama remark. He said the opposition will give him a befitting reply inside Parliament.
प्रधानमंत्री बाहर बहुत जोरदार तकरीर करके आए और अपना प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करें और हमारे ऊपर भी बहुत इनडायरेक्टली हमला किए, लेकिन उसका जवाब तो हम मुंहतोड़ यहाँ पर देंगे।
The Congress party alleges that this winter session is likely to be the shortest ever and the government wants to derail it. Congress leader and Lok Sabha Member of Parliament Priyanka Gandhi accused BJP of dodging discussions on important issues.
उनको कुछ तो मानना चाहिए ना, SIR पे नहीं तो इलेक्शन रिफॉर्म पे किसी रिलेटेड इशू पे भी तो कर सकते हैं डिस्कशन।
As disruptions and sloganeering continued from the opposition benches, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tabled Manipur GST reforms bill. Lower house of the parliament passed the bill through voice vote. GST 2.0 reforms in Manipur are slated to be enacted by parliament due to president's rule in the state. Among the hustle and bustle of political activity, there was a surprise member that paid a visit to the Indian Parliament. Congress Member of Parliament Renuka Chaudhary brought a puppy with her, taking a jibe at her fellow parliamentarians. She said the real ones who bite are sitting in Parliament. Winter session of Parliament will continue till the 19th of December. 15 sittings are planned to take place during the session. The government plans to introduce 14 legislations in this period. A major change is taking place in the Indian state of Bihar. Lalu Prasad Yadav, the former chief minister and supremo of the RJD, will soon be leaving his house. The Yadav clan has been based out of their government-allotted residence in Patna for almost 2 decades. 10 circular roads is synonymous with the RJD and the Yadavs. But the NDA-led Bihar government has served the family an official notice. The government says that 10 circular roads is now needed for legislative council use. The notice was served to Lalu Prasad Yadav's wife, Rabri Devi. She is one of 10 circular roads was allocated to back in 2005. She was given the building after Nitish Kumar unseated her as chief minister. So 10 circular road became the nerve center for the RJD, and it has been so for 2 decades. In the notice to vacate, the government has allocated a new residence to Rabri Devi. It is at 39 Handinge Road. But senior RJD leaders say that this is a conspiracy to humiliate the Yadav family. Instead of moving to the new government building, reports say that the Yadav clan aims to move into a private residence, into a mansion that is being completed in that area or district. This move has thrown up a new controversy. LJP RV leader Chirag Paswan had this to say.
Is the bungalow legitimate, or was it built using ill means? Whatever is wrong will be investigated.
Meanwhile, there's also some political news making waves in neighboring Uttar Pradesh. Akhilesh Yadav has reportedly issued a warning. He will not allow any offensive or raunchy songs to be linked to his party. In certain Indian states, there's a tradition of songs being composed for political parties. This is especially true for the states of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Often, these are composed by artists who are not directly employed by the parties, but who support them nonetheless. The songs sometimes tend to get very graphic or offensive in other ways. This is very common with music in the Bhojpuri language, but Akhilesh Yadav says he wants this to stop. He made an appeal to artists who support his party. He asked them not to compose songs that could be considered vulgar. Yadav also asked the media not to associate any future offensive songs with his Samajwadi party. The appeal comes after the recent Bihar elections, where the SP's allies had a very poor showing. These are parties from the Grand Alliance, such as the Congress and the RJD. Reports say that at least part of the reason for the debacle was that certain election songs tarnished the alliance's image, especially that of the RJD. The RJD has reportedly issued notices to the makers of at least 32 songs. They say the songs were made in the RJD's name without the party's permission, and the songs allegedly hurt the RJD's electoral prospects. It seems Akhilesh Yadav doesn't want something similar happening in Uttar Pradesh when the state goes to polls in 2027.
समर्थन है जिसके साथ जनता निकल करके आ रही है ना हो उसके लिए काम हम लोग कर रहे हैं लेकिन बीजेपी के पास कोई जीत रहे हैं जन समर्थन तेजस्वी के साथ है आपके सब कैमरे देख रहे होंगे.
We at WION World is One are hosting Mission Sustainability 2025 Season 3, One Step Towards Sustainability on December 2nd. The day-long conclave will have 5 power-packed sessions with leaders, innovators and visionaries to reshape the future and save our planet for generations to come. I'll see you then. Thank you for watching this edition of Race to Power on WION World is One. Stay with us.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building, coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
As responsible individuals, we must take initiative in our own everyday lives. Maybe the next time you see a plastic bottle, you should consciously decide not to use it. Or maybe the next time you realize your children are not switching off the lights or the fans, you come up with a quirky ways to teach them the importance of conserving resources. These steps might sound small, but I assure you they will have a notable impact. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to WION for hosting Mission Sustainability. Let's act before it gets too late. Namaskar, Jai Hind.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hi, I am Kishore Nair, CEO of Avada Energy, a leading sustainable energy company in the country. At Avada, we believe that clean energy is not only the backbone of sustainable growth, it is the responsibility of every person. Through renewable energy, we are not just powering the factories or homes, we are educating and empowering the communities, preserving our environment and leaving a legacy for our future generations. Join me in Mission Sustainability on December 2nd, only on WION, World is One. Remember, no action is not an option.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Hi, I'm Sadia Khatib. I would like to congratulate WION for Mission Sustainability. It is a reminder that sustainability is about balance, meeting our needs without compromising the future. Simple actions like reducing plastic, conserving water, supporting eco-friendly products can make a huge impact. Let's work together for a greener tomorrow. And remember that no action is not an option. Thank you.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building, coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling